Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United versus Chelsea preview show, but it is also some big transfer news. We've got some big transfer news on Tchouaméni, on Spence as well from this morning, as I said we would. So lots to get into this afternoon. Welcome to Jay, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Thanks, well timed Jay, right at the start. You get a big shout out. So well done to Jay, thanks for joining the Members Club. Anyway, let's get into the show. We're going to be talking about Manchester United against Chelsea. It feels really weird to be doing a Premier League preview on a Tuesday afternoon for a Thursday night game. Might need to get used to it for next season. Not a nice feeling, not a nice feeling at all. And did you know, I haven't done Did You Know for ages, did you know that Manchester United have failed to hit 70 points in a Premier League season 5 times out of the last 7? That's shocking. That's shocking, that is. 5 times out of the last 7, we've not hit 70 points, Manchester United. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. I mentioned that because we're currently on 54 points. To equal, to beat our worst ever record, we need to win our last 4 games, which would take us to 66. To equal it, we need to win 3 and draw 1. That would take us to 64 points, which is the season of Moyes. So we are fast tracking towards the worst Premier League total ever. I can see that team is causing some conversation. Good, that's what we want. We want different opinions on here. We'll come on to that team in a minute. It's a predicted team. It's not actually what I would do, so I just must clarify that. Welcome to the Members Club, Manapete. But let me just start off with a bit topical transfer news for you, because I did promise you that I would go and I actually expected to get an update while I was on air about Spence. So late on in the morning show, there was a story that came out across social media. I think it was from a journalist saying that DJ Spence had loved to come to Manchester United. He's a United fan and United are interested in him. Right back on loan from Middlesbrough at the moment to Forest. I think he's going to be in the EFL Team of the Year. He's been fantastic. I'd put him up there with Lamptey as a really good up-and-coming right back, and certainly someone United should be looking at. The information I've always had is that United are not looking at a right back, and Spence is more likely to be going to Germany, Bayern Munich, or maybe Spurs or Arsenal. So this was quite encouraging this morning, although I was quite dubious about it. Now, the latest I can tell you about Spence, and there's an update on Tchouaméni coming as well. The latest on Spence is this. Eric Ten Hag is not even in post at Manchester United yet. He's not even decided whether he wants a right back yet. United know that they've got to prioritise CDM, striker, centre back. A right back at the moment is not what Man United were looking for. So logically, if you think about it, yeah, there's talk about Calvin Phillips. Yes, there's talk about Nunez. Yes, there's talk about Akanji. There's talk about maybe a Timber. But that's because United know they need a centre-back, a CDM and a striker. They're not looking for a right-back because they don't think they need a right-back. United have been looking at what they know is essential. Centre-back, CDM, striker. Doesn't mean we won't go for a right-back, but Ten Hag's not in post yet. So United aren't actually looking for a right-back because they've got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. And I don't know whether people can get their head around that, but United, forget appointing Ten Hag, forget Pochettino, forget any of that. United have known all season that they need to get a striker. Well, certainly since Christmas, they've known they need to get a striker, a CDM and a centre-back. So they've been doing their work around that. They've not been looking for right-backs. They will have scouted right-backs, but it's not a priority. So as of now, United aren't looking for a right-back, and Ten Hag's not even in post yet. So watch this space. But he would be available probably, I'd say that Spence will go for around 20 million, maybe a little bit less. So, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm sure it is for you, but at the moment, nothing advanced and may never be advanced. Hi, Mark. Anthony right wing, Sancho left wing. Thoughts? Love you, says Ben Austin. I'd have some of that, Ben. Not the love. I'll have some of Sancho and Anthony. I've got nothing against that sort of love, but I was talking about the football. What's happening with Pogba telling the squad he's off in the summer, says Adam H. Can we talk about that in a minute, Adam, because he is on the list to talk about. The next player I want to talk about is Tchouaméni. Liverpool don't even need Tchouaméni, says GP, so you've obviously seen it. The big story this afternoon is that Tchouaméni is on the radar of Liverpool, that they're starting conversations for him. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. For it to happen once is hard. For it to happen twice is pure incompetence. And Fabinho was a player. I wish some of you had been on this channel 5 or 6 years ago, because 2 years before Liverpool even bought Fabinho, we were talking about him as a community saying we reckon he'd be good. At that time he was at Monaco. He could play centre-back, right-back, CDM. Liverpool got him. Was gutted when it happened. and lo and behold, he's gone on to be a good player. Looks like they might be doing it from the same bloody club again with Tchouaméni. Liverpool heavily linked to Tchouaméni this afternoon. What a signing he would be. And this is the problem. This is the problem Ten Hag's got. How can you close a gap on a team that's way ahead of you anyway when they're buying the players you know are the players that can help you close that gap? The gap just gets bigger, doesn't it? So, but what can you do? What can you do? I mean, on Tchouaméni in relation to Manchester United, we spoke about him last summer with Fabrizio. He was like, United aren't really looking at him. We spoke a couple of times over the last few months. He said he's not looking, United aren't looking at him. What I've been told independently of that is that United, he's on a list, but he's not somebody United have ever really developed massive interest in. I don't know why that is. Logically, I would say we might not be able to. We can all get frustrated saying the scouts are rubbish, this, that and the other, and maybe they are and maybe they're not. But actually, if you go knocking on the door of Monaco for Tchouaméni and Liverpool are knocking on the door, he's going to Liverpool, isn't he? And that's the problem. That's the problem. It's the same as Declan Rice. You can knock on the door with the right amount of money, but he can go, Chelsea and Man City want me, see you later. And the same with Tchouaméni. So as much as it's frustrating that these teams are getting stronger, you've almost got to doff your hat to them and say, well, is that not what you would want United to be doing? And we never really did it. United never really did it. Even under Sir Alex, we didn't do it. Not because of Sir Alex, but because of the club. We were never that great at building on success, and Liverpool would be doing that if they do it. So yeah, very frustrated if it happens, but not a lot we can do about Tchouaméni, to be honest with you. And this is why we'll probably end up with a Calvin Phillips or a Neves or someone like that. Even Conrad Lema today, there was an update on Conrad Lema today saying that there's a lot of clubs interested in him, some Premier League clubs, but United's interest is cold. So another player, and look, Lema's a player that we should be getting. He's an RB Leipzig player. I mean, he's not, Ralf Rangnick knows him, contacts, but no, United's interest is cold. Now, is United's interest cold because we're not actually interested and we prefer a Premier League proven player again? I don't know, but this summer's going to be really interesting because there are players out there, and all we're hearing is, Tchouaméni, not much interest. Spence, not much interest. Lema, not much interest. And it's like, well, who is the interest? And is it going to be a whole load of Premier League players again? Mark, please check my pinned tweet. It's a league table of the last 20 seasons, says Mason Reed. I will copy your thing there and I will have a look at it afterwards. Thank you very much. Man Repeat, thank you very much for the super chat. This is why we need Paul Mitchell, says Sean Walker. Anyway, I've got a little bit more transfer news to come back on. A little bit about Pogba, a little bit about Donny. And we can probably revisit that. But let's talk about the game against Chelsea, because it is a Chelsea free preview. Mark, is Ethan Laird not as good as Spence, as Dan MUFC? No, he's not. In my humble opinion, he's not. Not at the moment. Spence is the best right back in the Championship. He's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Laird might be better than him at some point, but at the moment, I think it would be a leap to say that. Lamptey plays for Wigan. No, he doesn't. He plays for Brighton, doesn't he? I keep getting that mixed up. So let's talk about the Chelsea game on Thursday. Some of us might not want to talk about it, but I still have a lot of interest in this. We've got 54 points. A lot of people just seem to be resigned to the fact that we're getting Europa League football. Trust me, if we don't find some wins, we won't be getting European football at all. We'll be twiddling our thumbs all midweek next season. So some people might think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing when you've lost 3 of your last 4 Premier League games. 3 of our last 4 Premier League games we've lost. We're playing Chelsea. Admittedly, they've won 2 and lost 2 of their last 4, so they're not in great form. But when you look at the Premier League form table, home and away records, Chelsea, away from home, are second in the league. They've only lost 2 games away from home all season. They've only conceded 9 goals all season. The only team with a better away record than that is Man City, who've conceded 8. So Chelsea, whatever you think about them, they're a team that are going to be very difficult for United to beat on Thursday. And beat we need to do. We need to find a win. We've got to get in that race to try and get more than 64 points. It's embarrassing. I'm not talking about this as a fan, or I'm sure you're not. I'm talking about this thing that McTominay mentioned after the Arsenal game. Professional pride. You will never be able to move away from this. This season will mark a lot of people's careers. You will always be known as the United players that turned on your fans, turned on your manager, and downed tools. That's not a nice thing to have. But maybe it can be partly forgotten if you do achieve a good end to the season. But you will always be known as the worst United side ever in Premier League history if you get less than 64 points. And that's got to be a professional pride motivator, surely, amongst these players. But actually, I say that, and I think it probably won't be. I think they're so self-centred that they don't really care about United as much as they care about themselves. But they have to go and win on Chelsea, against Chelsea on Thursday, or at least draw. If we lose, we can't do it. We've only got 9 points left to play. Maximum points we could get is 63. So they've got to go and get a result against Chelsea on Thursday. Mark, United scouts, club need to watch United stand, says Andy and Bruno. Well, they'd learn a lot from the chat. I'd agree with that. CB says, sorry, not United news as such, but with the EFL apparently asking clubs if they want to scrap the 3 p.m. blackout, how likely do you think it is to go through? Such an old crazy rule. Cheers for the content, says CB. It needs to be scrapped. 100% needs to be scrapped. It's absolutely ridiculous that you can live in the UK and be a fan of Arsenal, and you can be playing away against someone like Bournemouth where they only let 1,000 fans in, and then you can't watch Arsenal. It's ridiculous. Ten Hag to the team, you're not going to lose your job. Ronaldo, you're not going to lose your job. Sancho, you're not. Yeah, I know that one. Ben Austin, thank you, in relation to Maguire. Well, look, for Chelsea, I think the first thing I want to say is, and Colin says, I hope we beat Chelsea, but with Bruno and McFred in the middle, I don't see it happening. Well, look, let's dive straight into this. This is my predicted team for the game against Chelsea. This is the team that I think RANGNICK will pick, and I probably wouldn't disagree with it massively. De Gea in goal, obviously. I think Wan-Bissaka will come in at right back because you can't play Telles at left back, so you've got to put Delot there. Lindelof and Varane. I'll be amazed if he brings Maguire back in. He might do, but I'll be amazed if he does, because I can't remember who said it. I don't know whether it was on Match of the Day or maybe it was someone in the chat. I listen and take in so much information. Sometimes it's hard to remember where you said it. But our lowest ever points total 64 points, Lloyd. Whoever got it, I don't know who it was, but check the records. But I think what I want, you've got to try and grasp the positives from somewhere. And I actually think 9 of the team against Arsenal got me involved, got me engaged, got me interested for the first time in weeks. So I wouldn't actually massively change that team. I think if he goes and makes 4 or 5... after Liverpool, you've got to go and make 4 or 5 changes. After Arsenal, it was a different type of game. I don't know what people think, but I wouldn't make loads of changes. Could we get Lamptey as a right-back, says Chris? We've got to buy a right-back first. Players already checked out. Nothing expect from them. I'd rather use that time something productive. They don't deserve our support, says Jay. Well, that's an individual thing. I still think that... we've got to try and get Europa League football for next season, for Ten Hag, for an opportunity. Some people still think Delot's Portuguese in the chat. Anyway, so I wouldn't expect Maguire to come in. I thought Varane and Lindelof played well enough against Arsenal for us to continue with them. I wouldn't be making changes for change's sake. I think at this point in the season, with the season that we've had, try and keep some consistency for the game against Chelsea. And why would you change your centre-backs when they weren't dreadful? I just wouldn't do it. And also, if you bring Maguire back in, the form he's in, and he makes a mistake at Old Trafford, people will just be like, why have you brought him back in? So I just don't think it makes any sense to bring Maguire back in yet. McTominay or Matic, one of them's got to play. If Fred's fit, has to play in the midfield. You could be up against people like Kante. You've got to have some mobility in the midfield. So, yeah, Fred's got to come back in. Sancho off the left. Alanga has to start off the right because Rashford doesn't deserve to. Ronaldo up front. And then the contentious thing is what you do with Bruno. But if Maguire's not starting, Bruno's got to be the captain. So, I mean, that's not a reason to pick him. I think... I agree with what we were discussing on Sunday night. I would drop Bruno for Mata. I wouldn't drop Bruno for Lingard. We're not going to drop Bruno for Mabry or any young player. So if it's a choice between Bruno, Mata and Lingard, I wouldn't mind giving Mata a start for an hour. I'm not giving Lingard a start over Bruno. I think that's a complete and waste of time against Chelsea, who are well organised defensively. So I think he will probably end up going with Bruno, and that's what my predicted 11 is. I don't think I would be looking to make massive amounts of changes to the team. He may even start Telles, but that's how I would go. And I think that we need a bit of consistency, and there was some glimmer of hope against Arsenal if it hadn't been for individual errors. Record shows that if we didn't have Ronaldo this season, we'd be 10 points above relegation, which is absolutely disgraceful, said Jack. And your postcode is Sheffield Delow. You're from Sheffield, says Scotty. Yeah, look, we know that Delow is Portuguese. Hardcore United standards knows that Delow is Portuguese. But right at the start of the season, there was a graphical error. So we just thought we'd keep him as English just for the banter, you know. It's not funny banter. We just thought we would keep it. So yeah, I think Thursday night, Old Trafford, have to get a result. I think it's going to be a very odd atmosphere, actually, and I think RANGNICK needs to try and limit that odd atmosphere as much as possible. Welcome to the Members Club, Dan. Thank you very much for joining and supporting the channel. Please smash a like on the video. So yeah, I think there is a bit of a RANGNICK dilemma in this game because, you know, the fans are pissed off. Apparently there's going to be more protests again, as there was in the Norwich game, and that just shows a bigger picture of what fans are pissed off about. And I think the bigger picture is, as I said at the start of the video, United have not hit 70 points 5 times out of the last 7 seasons. That's ridiculous at Manchester United, and that sort of evidence really does hit home how badly the club has been run, how bad the recruitment's been, how bad decision after bad decision has compounded that. I mean, look, you know, Solskjaer apparently was a great manager. He only got over 70 points once. I think he got 66 twice. One finished 6th and one finished 3rd. 66 points is crap in a Premier League season. So we've been underperforming for a long, long time. And this season I think we all know we're not going to hit 64 points this year. I mean, to be honest with you, we might not hit 60, which is that would be the motivator for me as a player. I would not want it on my CV that I played in a United side that didn't get 60 points. 60 points. That's like, how many points do you get in a Premier League season? Is it 114? Is it something like that? So you play 38 games, so 90 plus 24, 114 points in a Premier League season. And United, so what's that? 55, 57 points. United at the moment, we're barely going to get half the points. It's disgusting. Chelsea first, 10th first. United remind me of 10th, says the Stone Roses. And Mark, historically, United's lowest ever points is 64 by Moyes, says Andy and Bruno. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I said that at the start, so thanks for the clarity on that. But Ricardo says they don't care. They've got to show that they care. They've got to show that they care. And I think that's why having Fred back in the team actually helps, because he will go out there and put a shift in. And, you know, it's a sad state of affairs when you're desperate for people to get back in the team who give a shit, no matter what their ability is. But look, if we're talking next season, I don't want Fred to start because he gives a shit. I want Ten Hag to pick and buy players that can play football. But right here, right now, we know there's people on the bench or on the supposedly on the bloody physio room who are better than some of these lads that are starting, but they've just not turned up. So yeah, we need to turn up on Thursday night. There needs to be some personal professional pride, and there needs to be some camaraderie. And I tell you what, it's a dangerous game to play in, because if Chelsea been off a little bit lately, Chelsea are vulnerable, but we need to beat Chelsea on Thursday, because I tell you what, if Chelsea beat us, they've not got a lot to play for. They've got 65 points. If they beat us and go to 68, they've basically got 3rd on lockdown. But they've got loads of games left to play. They've got Leeds, they've got Everton, they've got Wolves. If they take their foot off the pedal and start playing their youth against Wolves and Wolves beat them, we might be out down to 8th or 9th. So, well, 8th. So we've got to we need to beat Chelsea to make them more focused on that Wolves game later on in the season. So, but as I said, my big thing I would be saying if I was RANGNICK and to these players is I would try and stick with the team against Arsenal, because that at least showed a bit of character, apart from Bruno and Telles. You know, 9 of those players did show a bit of character. There was a bit of fluidity, and maybe with a bit of consistency we can build on that, because we're always changing the team so much. So I would stick with that, pretty much that team. But as I said, it's at home. It's against Chelsea. There will be 75,000 fans there, I would imagine. I don't think people are going to stop turning up when it's Man United against Chelsea. But what will happen is the fan base is pissed off with these players. And if they don't put in a good performance, or they see people not putting in a good performance again, there will be toxicity in the crowd. Last game, we saw a lot of murmurings. We saw Pogba being booed off. Well, Pogba won't be playing in this game. So who becomes the next target? And that's... I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. We've got a new manager. There's a new start coming in, and some of these players will be part of that. The last thing you want to do if you are a Bruno Fernandes or a Harry Maguire or, I don't know, a Rashford or whoever else is just, getting a bit of stick at the moment, you don't want that crowd to be turning on you in a game because you've been smashed up by Chelsea again. We need to see a result. We need to see a response. Less than 70 points in 5 out of the last 7 seasons, and in the 21 seasons Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge, his lowest points total was 75. It's crazy how far we've fallen, says John Barnes. Welcome to the Members Club, Daniel MUFC. Mark, you should make a sort of tier list of the current squad with tiers like already leaving, should sell, keepers, squad, player, keep, importance, says DM. Funny you should say that. We've got something like that coming up for you on the 7 o'clock show tonight, so make sure you tune in for that. I'm sure it'll be very interesting. Michael Owen said Man United's not good this season, says Eager. He's always brilliant at stating the bloody obvious, isn't he? But no, I genuinely do not think I would make many changes to the team from the Arsenal game, apart from Telles and potentially Bruno. And to be honest with you, I'd go with Bruno over Lingard. Maybe Mata can start, but apart from that, I'd stick with that. I think Man United have to try and take some momentum from the Arsenal game. We shouldn't have lost that game. And I think the players deserve another chance to go out and see what they can do against Chelsea. But you never know. You never know. We might bring Maguire back in. I think that's risky. If he makes a mistake, it just won't go down very well, will it? He might stick with Telles at left back. He might take Bruno out of the team and give someone a chance. I don't think he'll be starting Rashford, but you never know. You never know. I am doing a watch along for Real Madrid game tonight, so that's why it's at 7 o'clock on the United stand tonight. Just going back to a couple of things that people mentioned. There was somebody was asking about Paul Pogba coming out of the WhatsApp group. I don't care whether Paul Pogba's come out of a WhatsApp group or anything. There has been a story about Pogba and Donny today, actually, by Mike McGrath, who's a journalist in the UK, saying that at the moment Paul Pogba hasn't had an offer as to where he's going to go in the summer, so he's going to wait to the end of the season and take into account what options are there. Now, look, Paul Pogba's going to leave Manchester United. I think that's absolutely nailed on. Imagine the scenario where no one gives him as good an offer as United and he just goes, well, I'll take the money. I mean, imagine if he stayed at Man United. Surely he won't do. I think it's become just like this. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not yawning at myself, but I don't know what I would do if Paul Pogba signed a new contract at Manchester United. I've always been a fan of Pogba, but I absolutely 100% am certain that it's time to part ways. I think we should have parted ways a couple of years ago. In fact, I said it 2 years ago, like a happy divorce. It should have been amicable. It should have been, look, it's not worked out. You go on there, we'll do that. United didn't. United didn't let him go. They were like, no, you're going to stay, you're going to stay, you're going to stay. And they have got this contract offer on the table. Whether it's 400 grand, 450 grand, whatever, Man United have put a contract on the table last summer. Whether it's still on the table, I don't know. But United were willing to give him 400 grand a week. After 6 years of up and down displays, United thought it was a good idea to offer somebody 400 grand a week. Now, he hasn't signed it, obviously, but whether it's still on the table and whether that'll be the best offer on the table, I don't know. But at the moment, Pogba doesn't have an offer on the table that he's ready to take. Now, he will, to be fair, he is going to be talking to Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, PSG. The offers will be there, but it'd be very interesting to see where he ends up going. I don't for 1 minute think he's going to stay at Manchester United. But in the same article, it said that Donny van der Beek is expected to stay next season and work under Erik ten Hag. Like, it's Slow Sports News, breaking news, Donny van der Beek to stay at Manchester United. I thought he was going to leave. I mean, of course, Donny van der Beek's going to stay at Manchester United. He may only stay till January. He may go on loan in August. But he'll definitely be back for pre-season training under Erik ten Hag. And look, I wouldn't say with total certainty that Donny van der Beek will be here next season at United. If you want a percentage, I'm 90% sure he'll be here next season. If you want a percentage on how often do I think he'll be a first team starter, I'll probably be only about 25% sure about that. I think he will be taking his place up on the bench again. But he may not even start the season with us, because what Erik ten Hag will do is he'll be like, Donny, come on the tour with us to Bangkok and there's some interesting sites there. No, that's not what they'll be doing. They'll be going there to play football. But I think that he will look at him, Donny van der Beek. He'll know him from his Ajax days and what they did in the Champions League together. He'll watch him in training. And if he sees that people like Fred and McTominay and whoever his new midfielders are ahead of him and Bruno and everyone else, he'll go, maybe you do need to move on. And I think people need to be eye open to that. That might happen. But if he sees him in training and goes, yeah, you're better than a lot of these players, he's going to use him. So it's going to be down to Donny, really. I personally think Donny will be somebody that Erik ten Hag wants to keep and use, but I think you've got to keep an open mind that if he looks at him in training and he's not up to speed with the Premier League, then he may well let him go. But I'm hoping he's going to get a chance. And I certainly would say that if Ollie was still in charge, Donny's 100% leaving this summer. So with Ten Hag in charge, I think there is an opportunity. I was always disappointed in RANGNICK, though. I was always disappointed in RANGNICK and Donny. I was really surprised how he let him go. I really thought Donny van der Beek would have got some game time under RANGNICK, but he obviously preferred Fred and McTominay. So you've always got to have eyes open to that. Carol says there's no way that McFred is better than Donny. And apparently Ronaldo is struggling with his hip again and is in a doubt for the Chelsea game. I mean, if Ronaldo's out, you know, straight away my mood just dropped when I read that. I don't know whether that's true, but if Ronaldo is out, we're screwed. Like, any hope of winning just disappears straight away. I mean, we beat Spurs because of Ronaldo. We beat Norwich because of Ronaldo. And you expect us to beat Chelsea without Ronaldo. I mean, this is what I was angry about this morning. Cavani. Where's Cavani's not there. Rashford's checked out. Obviously, we haven't got Martial. We haven't got Greenwood. If Ronaldo's not available, I just think we're screwed. The team just loses that any little bit of hope that it has. So I really hope Ronaldo's available. But then you've got to look at it and go, Thursday, Monday night, what game would you rather have Ronaldo for? You'd probably rather have him for the Brentford game and just write the Chelsea game off. So maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe it's like, if we play him against Chelsea, he won't play against Brentford, which is the best chance of 3 points, Brentford. So look, I really hope Ronaldo is going to be available. Remember, we've got this weird scenario as well. No, we haven't actually. So we've got Chelsea on the Thursday, we've got Brentford on the Monday, Brighton on the Saturday, and then we don't play for 2 weeks until the final game of the season. But yeah, we have got three. Just, you know what? It worries you. This is why next season it's so important that we get somebody who can play up front, so that Ronaldo can have a rest. Like, he is, he's going to be 38 next season. He can't play every week, 3 times a week. We need a striker. Mark, why is the United social media team posting so much about Ten Hag next season? We still have 4 games to play. Because it's positivity, mate. I mean, basically, that's from Mark. It's a super chat. Basically, what's a lie, Mohammed? I can't come back if you say that's a lie, Mark. What's a lie? You might be watching the show 20 minutes ago. You might be watching it. I don't know what's a lie. Tell us what a lie is. But in relation to the social media, Manchester United and the way the football club is run, they will have people monitoring positivity spikes. You used to be able to go into Google Analytics and look at positivity spikes, and United will have their own people for this. So when they put a tweet out, they'll be able to look at interaction, and they'll have people who map it all on a graph, every tweet and its success. I mean, somebody like the Manchester Evening News will do this. When they put an article out, you go on the Manchester Evening News website or the Times or whatever. You go on there, you see a story about United, you read it, yeah? That's not what they're doing. What they will be doing is, across the day, at the end of the day, they'll go to each journalist and they'll go, well, your article did that, his article did that, your article was down here. You need to write more stories like that. It's all about positivity. It's all about eyes on your content. So Manchester United will know that if they put a tweet out with the winning team, it's going to go down really badly. If they put a tweet out about Erik ten Hag, it's going to go. It's just about playing on positivity, isn't it? Some people call it manipulation. I don't know whether it is that. They're just trying to create positivity around their brand. A midfield trio of Bruno, Tielemans and Phillips. Because, I mean, it doesn't... If I'm absolutely honest, and you should always sometimes go off your first reaction, a midfield 3 of Bruno, Tielemans and Calvin Phillips doesn't actually... I'm getting the words... I'm getting the word Leicester. Yeah, I don't think... I mean, Bruno, Tielemans and Phillips, I don't think that's going to terrify Tchouaméni, Fabinho and Thiago, or Gundogan, Rodri and De Bruyne. or Rice, Kovacic and Mount. Whatever Chelsea's midfield is, I don't know. It's better. I mean, look, what I would say, Kisseley, is that Bruno Tielemans and Phillips is definitely better than Bruno, McTominay and Fred. But you might be right, mate, because that might be what we have to go for in season 1. And the reason I mentioned the fact that we've only hit 70 points 2 times in the last 7 years, and the reason I mentioned that we've got to win 3 and draw 1 of our last 4 games just to equal our worst ever Premier League total is, let's never forget we're scraping the barrel at the moment. We're right at the bottom. And he makes a great point. A midfield 3 of Tielemans, Phillips and Bruno may not be the most exciting, but it might be all we can get in year 1. We're certainly not going to have a midfield 3 of Gundogan, Rodri and De Bruyne or their equivalent, because we're not fighting for a title next year. We might not even be fighting for 4th. So we do need a bit of a reality check. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because at the start of the season we were being told by Solskjaer we want to be in a title race in April. Never happened, did it? We did buy Beek, Sancho, Varane, Ronaldo. We neglected the midfield and now we're in a bloody mess. But I do think that I take Neves, Phillips and Bruno, says Andy and Bruno. But there has to be a reality bite. There has to be a reset and there has to be a reflection on where we are. And as I said, we're talking about Tchouaméni at the start of the show and how Liverpool look like they're ahead of the race to get Tchouaméni. United have never been in this race. We were never in for him last summer. I don't really think we're in for him now. And even if we were, we can't win that race. But why are we not in that race? Because we're crap. Because we're not in the Champions League. We're not a title contending side. We're a big, massive question mark at the lowest point we've ever been in the Premier League. So, history. So, we can't expect to have a midfield of Tchouaméni and whoever else you want. We can't expect to have Haaland up front. We can't expect to have a superstar world-class centre-back at the back brought in. The whole point of the Ten Hag thing, and I heard Paul Scholes talking about this on TalkSport this morning, is that it's going to take years. Hi Mark, is it just me or is the Sky Sports pundits really pushing for us to sign Kane and Rice this summer as it apparently solves everything, says Adam H. I don't listen to a lot of that punditry because not because I don't like Sky or BT or anything like that. It's because those pundits have been proven wrong so many times. And look, everyone gets things wrong, but around Manchester United I've heard so many bad takes. I've heard things like Varane doesn't get the criticism Maguire gets. Potts should be the manager. They should have stuck behind Ollie. You know, it's just bad take after bad take after bad take. So, Harry Kane and Declan Rice at Man United. Well, for one, that's going to cost us about 250 million quid for 2 players. And we need 5. For 2, I mean, Ronaldo will still be here. So, is Kane going to be happy rotating with Ronaldo? No, he's not. And for 3, are we just not doing the same thing we've always done? Spending massive amounts of money on players that may not solve our problems? And also, for 4, I suppose, have we not learnt about overpaying for English talent? Like, we need to play differently. And this is what Rangnick's trying to get the club to do. He's told the club to stop spending massive amounts of money on one player and start building a squad, because the problem will not be solved by 1 or 2 signings. It will be solved by 6, 7, 8, 9 signings over the next 2 summers. Mark, what if Ten Hag wants to keep Pogba for another season, says Jack. I mean, I don't know how we can keep him for 1 more season. He'd have to keep him for a lot longer than that because his contract's up. But, I mean, you never say never. I don't know why Pogba would want to stay at United. Some of the fans have turned on him, obviously. We're not going to be in the Champions League. We're not going to challenge for a title. And he's 29. I know he's won a World Cup and I know he's won league titles in Italy. But I don't think he's won a Champions League. Well, he can't have won a Champions League. So maybe he wants to, I'm sure he'd like to win the Champions League. So I think Pogba will leave United for many reasons. But the most important reason will be footballing reasons. Like, he's not got that long left, has he? So at 29, he's probably got maybe 4, 5 years at the top. If he looks after himself, which he does. So I think Pogba looking to go and win things. Do you think that building the team around Ronaldo is the best option? Your thoughts, mate, says Jake Jones. Not anymore. Not anymore. I think Ronaldo is a massive part of the team and his leadership is going to be really important. But you've got to look to phase him out. Apparently the Ronaldo injury was a lie. Someone thought that would be funny, apparently, says Ricardo. Well, Ricardo, whether it's true or not, it doesn't really matter because it was right in the middle of the show and it was just... Actually, I think it was actually quite a good thing to bring in because it whether thankfully it's not true, but it does show you if Ronaldo wasn't playing against Chelsea, how you just... Any positivity I had from Arsenal would just sink. I'd be like, well, we're screwed. Because you'd have to play Rashford up front. Like, you'd have to. And then that's like... Even on his good day, I don't think Rashford can play up front. So... but yeah, we can't build around Ronaldo. We've got to look for the future. I think what I would say is that against Chelsea on Thursday, if we get a point and then we win our last 3, that puts us on 64 points. I'd be very, very happy with that. Brentford, Brighton and Palace, you'd hope that I don't think we will win all 3, but we could do. But we need a positive result against Chelsea. We need that crowd on Thursday night, which is like every other United fan at the moment. It's like, all right, we've got Ten Hag, that's fine, but these players have really pissed me off, and what we're doing in the league has really pissed me off. And you just feel it's simmering away at the moment. And if United get it wrong on Thursday night, and what I mean by wrong is if he picks the wrong players and they make mistakes, or we get beaten by a lot again, or he's bringing people on and they're not putting a shift in, it's got the likelihood of just boiling over. Which is why I would stick with a lot of the players from the Arsenal game, because there was some glimmers of positivity there, and give them that chance of consistency. And hopefully they can, get something against Chelsea, who are a very good side. Chelsea is still a good side. I mean, we're doing a Man City Real Madrid watch along tonight. It should be Man City against Chelsea. Chelsea should have won that game against Real Madrid. Modric doesn't pull off that amazing assist and change the way the game's going. And Chelsea are playing a Champions League game tonight. Do you think Charlie McNeil will get game time before the end of the season? I doubt it, Hamza. I can't really see it, to be honest. We haven't got that home game, last game of the season, that's completely not a dead rubber, have we? Remember that one a few years ago where that lad scored? Always forget his name. And then he literally left the next week. So, Sal Maguire and buy Koundé and Pau Torres, says Rashid. I mean, we're doing a video at 7 o'clock tonight that you can tune into. It's about the players United are going to sell. Not the players that are going to walk out the door because the contract's out. The players that United are going to sell. I think in relation to Harry Maguire, it was Harrop, that was his name. I think in relation to Harry Maguire, if there was an offer there, it might not be a bad idea for all parties, but there's not going to be an offer there, is there? And I might sound a complete and utter idiot here, but I actually do think if I was an Everton or a Newcastle, Harry Maguire for 50 million quid is not a bad signing. And I can hear people laughing from here. You're just doing that to try and make them buy him and keep a straight face. No, I'm not. I actually think the way Everton play football, the way Newcastle play football, I mean, Newcastle probably wouldn't want him when they want to win the Champions League, but I think certainly for the next step. I mean, look at Newcastle. They've brought Chris Wood in. They've brought Burn in from Newcastle, from Brighton. Targay's there on loan from Villa. So I think Maguire at Newcastle as their next stage for 50 million would be a good signing. I think for Everton for 50 million, he would be a good signing. It's just not ever going to be, in my mind. And you could probably say the same about Lindelof and maybe Bay as well. You're never going to win a title with him. That's what United need to be looking to do. And if we're building for the future, you need to build for a future where these players can win as a title. And again, Harry Maguire's 29. By the time we're ready to win a title, he's going to be 32. And at 32, does he look like he's going to get any quicker? Is he going to get any more mobile? So I expect Maguire to be here next season. I expect Lindelof to be here next season. Obviously, Ronaldo will be here next season. But they're not, in my mind, I'd be stunned if they're going to be here when we win titles, if we win titles. But look, I don't think anyone's going to put an offer in. Thanks everyone for watching. Anyway, don't miss the show at 7 o'clock. We're talking about Ten Hag's hit list, who's up for sale this summer and who's going to go. There's some shockers in there, and I've not even completed the list yet. I've got to speak to a couple of people before I do. We are going to try and predict. But thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. I am on Twitch at 3:10. Cracking stream yesterday at Anfield. What a game that was. United at Liverpool. We need to keep that momentum going. We've got a Champions League quarter-final against Juventus. But that's all computer generated. If you want to join me, it's on Twitch. I'll be tweeting it out of Mark Goldbridge in a little bit. 7 o'clock tonight, because I'm doing Real Madrid Man City Champions League semi-final at 8 o'clock on That's Football. Thanks to everyone who's been involved in the show live. If you're not watching live, thanks for tuning in. And don't forget, if you're a member, get on the community tab on the homepage and vote for the video you want as the next Members Club video, because that's coming out, I think it's tomorrow. Yes. I've got to film it tomorrow. And thanks everyone who's joined the Members Club today as well. You can click the join button to do that. Thanks for all your support as ever. I'll speak to you a little bit later on.